What is going on, everybody? This is SERG VICENTE, the host of the Fight Podcast. So check it out. This week we had a huge, obviously, title fight. We had the number one versus number two guys go at it, where Islam Makhachev went out there and actually defeated Alexander Volkanovski. Now, look, I know some of the cards and some of people's opinions, the Twitter world's opinions, were that Volkanovski won, or it wasn't as disputed as other people think. So there's different opinions going all over the place, but my thought and question is this: 2-0 around when we found out where the number one pound for pound fighter in the world is, and on the two most recognized sites, which is the UFC's pound for pound page as well as ESPN's, we have a situation where Alexander Volkanovski, coming off of a loss, still retains his number one pound for pound status. Now, I'm going to say this. Where do I have Alexander Volkanovski ranked? I'm sorry, I don't have him ranked at number one. I definitely have him ranked behind Islam Makhachev. And let me say this. Again, ESPN men's pound for pound rankings has Islam Makhachev at number one. Also has Volkanovski tied for number one, but in the UFC rankings, he retained his placement as the number one pound for pound guy. Now, let's bring this up also because we're seeing other athletes that have moved up and actually taken a loss. We're talking about champions specifically that have moved up and taken a loss, because people are saying that they're not knocking Alexander Volkanovski because he dared to be great. He moved up a weight class, and even though he lost, it was a contested fight, and that's okay. So we're going to continue keeping him there. I do have a little pushback with that. And the pushback that I'm going to have with that is Alexander Volkanovski's own teammate in Israel Adesanya. In 2021, after Adesanya went out there and actually moved up, dared to be great, and lost the light heavyweight championship to Jan Blachowicz in UFC 259, and after that main event, he actually fell 3 spots in the pound for pound rankings. That was a highly contested fight. It was also a fight where the bigger man won via unanimous decision, but on many other people's scorecards, if he won the last round, he would have went out there and won the fight. So if he fell 3 places down and he was daring to be great, why isn't Alexander Volkanovski being knocked for that as well? So again, that is my place. Now, people are saying, well, they're not going to knock him for that because Islam Makhachev has not specifically beaten enough quality opponents. Well, here's the thing. I am going to push back on that as well, because when we actually think about it and we're actually looking at what's happening, they're talking about, his best win before that was Bobby Green. Okay, I'll take that. But also, let's say this, and I have to refer to Terrence McKinney, friend of the show, who's been on the show. Please check out that episode. He went out there and on Twitter, and I direct quote is this. He says, Islam beat the number 1 and number 3 pound for pound guys in the UFC within 4 months of each other. Guys, listen to that one more time. He beat the number 1 and 3 guys in the pound for pound rankings within 4 months of each other. This is something else that I want you guys to think about when we think about the pound for pound rankings. Yes, he doesn't have an extensive, reign with beating a litany of other guys, but 2 things: longest winning streak currently in the sport, and he also beat the other 2 longest winning streaks in the sport. Respectively, he beat a 12-fight winning streak and Oliveira's 11-fight winning streak. So he halted essentially, 22-fight win streaks back-to-back against the number 1 and number 3 guy. That in itself, in my opinion, I would have to go out there and put him and place him in the upper stratosphere in pound for pound number 1. Now, let's look at how some of these individuals specifically, and I'm going to go ahead and pull this up for us. We're looking at how the ESPN people who were the voters actually voted for this. So, for instance, Megan Anderson, former teammate of Alexander Volkanovski, said this: I kept Volk as my number 1 because while the fight was super close, I thought he edged the decision 3 rounds to 2. I also feel like Volk took more of a risk by taking the fight than Islam did by going up a weight class. Even though the judges didn't score it in his favor, Volk cemented himself as the number 1 guy. I'm going to push back on this again. I'm going to say that is an emotional decision, okay? Because to say that Islam isn't taking risk, again, what other champions do we see are this active? He just beat the guy who was ranked number 3 before he was ranked in Charles Oliveira, beat him. Then he turns around, flies to Perth, to Alexander Volkanovski's home country, which is something around 13,000 miles or kilometers away from Dagestan, Russia, with the entire crowd going against him, with a hard weight cut. There was a lot that happened in that, in my opinion, if we're actually looking at it, is I'm not going to say it is a higher degree of difficulty, but it is certainly a legitimate degree of difficulty. Now, let's look. So, in my opinion, an explanation like Megan Anderson gave is quite an emotional one. And I'm not going to lie, it sounds a touch biased. On the other hand, we have somebody like Mark Ramundi, who is a fantastic journalist, and I totally agree with his take on this. Makhachev beat Volkanovski. It's really as simple as that. The fight was close. Volk afforded himself incredible. Well, absolutely. It's all subjective, but what's the point of having a pound-for-pound rankings if head-to-head doesn't matter? Exactly. Head-to-head, they fought. I don't care how you felt about it. The judges don't care about your feelings. At the end of the day, they fought. Makhachev won. Therefore, Makhachev should be able to jump Alexander Volkanovski in the rankings. Now, I love Alexander Volkanovski. I think that he is a fantastic athlete. I think he is better than I even thought he was before the weekend. But the reason I have all of this stuff and I have to say to you guys is this. As great as Alexander Volkanovski is, Alexander Volkanovski lost his last fight. Therefore, he is no longer, in the Fight Podcast, from my own opinions, #1 pound-for-pound ranked fighter in the world. That 1,000% has to go to the new lightweight king, Islam Makhachev. All right. Love you guys. That is our question of the week. I hope you guys enjoy. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel and everything else that we go ahead and do. We love you guys. We'll see you next time right here on the Fight Podcast. Peace out.